Hello, my name is Alexandra Villamizar from Curriculum and Training at the Literacy Council of Montgomery County, and I would like to talk to you about incorporating CASAS competencies into lesson planning for your adult ESL classes. Let's start this video by talking about what CASAS competencies are. CASAS competencies identified more than 360 essential life skills that youth and adults need to be functionally competent members of their community, their family, and the workforce. CASAS competencies cover 9 broad content areas like basic communication, health, math, community resources, employment, learning and thinking skills, consumer economics, government and law, and independent living. Why is it important to incorporate CASAS competences into lesson planning? It is very important for you as a teacher to incorporate CASAS competences into the curriculum because by doing so, we can help adult education programs better meet a learner, community, and programs needs and fulfill federal, state, and local reporting requirements. If you like to read more about CASAS competences, please visit their website at www.casas.org. Now that we have talked about what CASAS competencies are and why it is important to incorporate them into lesson planning, let's talk about what do I, as a teacher, and you need in order to incorporate CASAS competencies into your lessons. So in order to plan your lesson using the CASAS competencies, please make sure you have the following. First, you will need the class competencies spreadsheet shared by our intake and assessment manager at the beginning of the session. You will always receive the classes competency spreadsheet at the beginning of the session, and we will do this to provide you with the information that it is important for you to organize and to plan your lessons. You will also need the CASAS competencies breakdown, and you will need your curriculum. For the classroom program at the Literacy Council, we use Ventures curriculum, so you will use your Ventures book. Let me show you now each one of these 3 different pieces that you need to incorporate CASAS competencies into your lesson plan. So this is how your spreadsheet looks like. This is the CASAS competencies by class. And this is the one that you will receive at the beginning of the session. You can see at the bottom of this picture that we have different tabs. Each of these tabs means or tells you the different tests that the students who joined your class took. So students in this class took level test number 83R, 84R, 185R, and 186R. This picture that I'm showing you here is for an advanced class. On this part of the picture, on the left, you will have this column that talks about the description. So each of these descriptions, it is one question from the test. So the number of descriptions you have here are the number of questions that specific test has. Next to that, you have the list of the column that refers to the competencies. So question number 1, which is a narrative question, covers competency 0.2.1, but also competency 7.2.1. Let's talk about question number 17, which is a work schedule. It will cover competencies number 4.43 and competency 7.2.2, okay? Each of these, okay, so here you have these numbers. I added numbers, but when you will receive your spreadsheet, you will have the name of the student. So for this test, the 83R, 5 students took this test. You will have the name of each of the students here, those 5 students who took this test. The X's mean that the student got that question wrong. So student number 1 got question number 1 wrong. The student number 4 got question 1 wrong, also question 3, 10. So again, each X means the question the student got wrong. And when you look by question or by competency, you will see that 3 students who took the 83R test got question 13 that refers to a rental application. 3 of them got it wrong, okay? So now this is the class competences spreadsheet that you will receive. So that's number 1 that you need. You need also the CASAS competencies breakdown. How do you access the CASAS competencies breakdown? By visiting this website. And don't worry about taking notes of this website right now, because our intake and assessment manager will always share this link with you at the beginning of the session. And why do I need to look at this website, or why do I need to look at the CASAS competencies breakdown? Because this list, the CASAS competencies breakdown, will tell me what each of those numbers mean. So here, CASAS competencies, it starts by giving you a summary of what they are, why they are useful, and then here you have the breakdown. So remember I told you that CASAS competencies cover different content areas. I will look at this. So the competencies that start with number 0 refer to basic communication. Competencies that begin with number 1 refer to consumer economics. Competencies that start with number 2, community resources. 3, health. 4, employment. 5, government and law. 6, math. And 7, learning and thinking skills. So you need this list to then know what each of these numbers from the spreadsheet that our intake and assessment manager shares with you, you will find here the information to understand what those numbers mean, okay? So this is the list of the breakdown for the competences. You will also need your book, your curriculum. So from your book, you will go, in order to plan the lesson, you will go to the correlations page. On the correlations page on your book, you will have each of the units. They specify each of the units. And for each of the units, the curriculum will show you what competencies are covered in this specific unit. So for unit 1, these are the CASAS competencies that my students will work on. Unit 2, these are the CASAS competencies that this unit covers. It is also important to read the NRS educational functional level descriptors, because this information tells me what my students will be able to do by studying that unit. So once again, in order to plan your lessons using the CASAS competencies, number 1, you need the class competencies spreadsheet. Number 2, you need the CASAS competencies breakdown. And number 3, you need your curriculum. So now that you know what they are, why they are important, and what do you need in order to plan your lessons, let's talk about how do you actually do it. So step by step, I'm going to share this with you. First, you will look at the class competencies spreadsheet that you received. And then when you receive them, you will see several X's. Each X on the columns means that the students got that answer wrong. And let me show you with one specific list. The teacher who received this spreadsheet is a teacher who is going to work with an advanced class. In this spreadsheet, you have different tabs: 83R, 84R, 185R, and 186R. Each of these tabs show the different tests students took. For the 83R, it tells me that 5 students took 83R test. Now it shows me that only one student took the 84 art test. It also tells me that 12 students took the 185 art test and 2 students took the 186 art test. Remember I told you each of these X's means that the student got that question wrong. So for the 186 art, student 1 got question number 1 wrong, but also question number 14. And question number 14 relates to a phone chart, and those are the competences included in that question. Student number number 2 got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 questions wrong. So this is how you will see what are the questions that the students or the competences that the students are struggling with or life skills that the students are struggling with. But I would like to focus on this spreadsheet, the 185R, because as you can see, 12 students took this test. So 12 students from my class, most of them took this test. So here I'm going to find the competences that I'm going to cover in one of my lessons. Once again, the X's mean the questions that the students got wrong. So let's pick one. Look, several got several wrong. So let's talk about, or let's pick this one. Question number 35 was a newspaper article, and this question includes competencies 5.6.1 and 2.27.3. Let's see how many students got it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 students got that question wrong. So by working on this like a lesson that covers these competences, I am helping a big number of students in my class. But now, okay, I know that the question was a newspaper article and that these two are the competences, but I don't know what those numbers mean. So let's look at the CASAS competencies breakdown. So remember the numbers? Those were 2.73 and 5.61. So let's find them. So 2.73. So 2 is community resources, but I need to find 2.73. 2.73. So 2.7 is understand aspects of society and culture, and 2.73 is interpret information about social issues. I'm going to take note of that because I need to make sure that the lesson I'm going to select covers those topics. So social issues, information about social issues. So that's one of the competencies. And now let's find the other one, 5.6.1. So let's go down. 5.61. So 5 is government and law, but I need 5.61. So here it is. 5.6, understand civic responsibilities and activities. And 5.61 is interpret information about neighborhood or community problems and their solutions. Let me take note of that. Community problems and solutions. Okay, and the one before was social issues. So, okay, now I am clear about what the students struggle with and the kind of material I need to help them with. So I look at the class first, I look at the class competences list spreadsheet. Now I found on the CASAS competencies breakdown, I found what those competencies mean. Now let's look in the book. What lesson is going to help me with those competencies? So here I have the book. So remember I told you that the list I was looking at was for a teacher who was working with, or who was going to be working with an advanced level. So for an advanced level, we use Ventures 4. So let's find that correlations page that I mentioned before. Correlations, here it is. So on this page, we talked about, it shows me the units, and it shows me what competencies are covered in each unit. Previously, I looked for the competencies, those two competencies, 2.73 and 5.761. I looked for them and I found them. So I'm going to show you that on unit 9, let me zoom a little bit so you can see it better. On unit 9 have 2.73, here it is, and also 5.6.1. So two of the competencies are covered in this unit. And remember, I mentioned to also read the level descriptor. So let's see, by the end of the unit, the students will be able to determine the main topic and key details in a conversation about environmental problems and solutions. And that matches what the competency told me. Remember, like social issues, like community problem solutions, okay? And also determine the main topic and key details in a written text about how all things are connected. Okay, so let's find the lesson now. It is unit 9. Let's find that lesson. So I go to unit 9. Remember that in Ventures unit, lesson A is always listening, focusing on listening, where students will practice vocabulary. Lesson B and C focus on grammar. Lesson D focuses on reading. So I'm going to choose this to see if I find the information I need, or actually this lesson will help me with what my students need. So this lesson is about, I already read it. So it gives you a text, and on this text, you have a situation that there is a village, and the village chief never allows anyone to disagree with him. But they have a situation with some frogs and also mosquitoes. So there is this lady who shares with the chief that killing the frogs would not be a good idea, because by doing so, they will get more mosquitoes. The chief, as I mentioned, he doesn't allow anyone to disagree with him. He didn't listen. So they got this problem where they had many mosquitoes. So then he wonders if he should have listened to her. So this story is giving me community problems, finding solutions. So yes, it does relate, right, to the competencies I need to work on, or my students need to practice. So the process that I did really took me to where I need to be to find that lesson to help my students. And then on the exercises that you will see here that the students will have to complete, they need to find the overall meaning of the text. They will need to determine what was the chief's main problem. When the chief wanted advice, what did almost all of his advisors say? So giving advice, finding solutions. Here the students will have to write sentences. Maybe they could write some advices and find those solutions. And here also students will discuss or talk with partners about how can people who disagree solve their conflicts peacefully. What do you do when you have a problem and you can't find a solution? And do you think it is wise to follow other people's advice? Why or why not? So as you can see, all of this lesson, the lesson covers exactly what the competency told me that my student struggled with. By doing the process I showed you step by step, you will work on those lessons that will target those specific competencies that your students are having some trouble with. And this is why it is extremely important for you as a teacher to always use the competencies for your lesson planning. Let's go back to the presentation. So here we are. So how you do it, I show you how we can, how you can show, step by step, how you can find those lessons. So again, on the class competency spreadsheet you receive, you will see several X's, and then you will find those that they have the most X's, and then most of the X's, and then you will find those competences. Then based on, look at the competencies breakdown to find out what they mean. And now that you know what they mean, you will go to the correlations page and find the lessons. So what about other levels? Because I showed you a class, an example using an advanced level, but the process, it is exactly the same for all of the levels. So don't worry about it. You will do exactly 3 different steps that I show, and it will work exactly the same way. So now I have finished presenting how to incorporate CASAS competencies into your lesson planning. Please feel free, always feel free to email me at alexandra@lcmcmd.org if you have any questions about this topic or any topic on the instructional side of your work. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you very much for watching it, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.